live stream. Actually, welcome everybody to the Unlimited Show with Carl and Amy today, the creators and founders of the Mindflavor technology. And thank you both for being here, especially out of the last minute thing that we asked the favor. So thank you so much. I had the pleasure to chat with you guys and experience the Mindflavor technology. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what happened since, what was it, 8 hours ago up to now. It has been like a really, really, really mind shifting, for lack of a better word. And I do lack a better word for it. Like, I don't know how much you know about me, but I came to Colombia 9 months ago, and I've been struggling with this thing of loneliness. Like, I went out of my family, my friends, started a new life here. So the amount of stress and the loneliness that I've been experiencing was just mind-boggling. But when I went into the 4 minutes with the mind flavor, and after the invigorate that Amy, you walked me through, I gained a level of clarity that you have no idea, because I wasn't aware of the struggle that I was going on. I just knew that I'm not doing okay. Like, there's this stressful, 3 months, 4 months that I've been going through, this stress, this feeling that I don't know what it is. And so what makes it worse was not knowing what it was. But the level of clarity, the level of understanding that I got right after the session with you guys was amazing. I went to the bathroom and downloads just start coming to me. Clarity start coming to me. And the anxiety that I had before, because I'm starting also a new relationship with somebody who I believe is my soulmate, and struggling with the loneliness has just created so much anxiety and uncertainty in the relationship that I didn't know what's going on. But thanks to the clarity, I was like, all right, this is something I need to work on. It's not, I was projecting and blaming so much. This is not the right relationship. This is not working for me. But it wasn't that, because I was being, for lack of a better word, blinded. So thank you so much. That 4 minutes, and then after the invigorate was just mind-boggling for me. And without further ado, this is about you guys. How about you, the viewers, for those of them who don't know you yet, who you are, what do you do, and then we will walk into the mind flavor thing.
Well, first of all, we appreciate you having us on. Seems like it was divine alignment for things to show up and be this way today, and for you to get a chance to experience the Mindflavors technology. Amy and I have been together
34 years.
34 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been quite a journey. And along the way, we've found beautiful ways of living through programming our subconscious minds and getting clear from patterns that are self-limiting. And so this is something we've been doing together for ever since we met.
Ever since we met. It was just so perfect timing when we met. I used to ask the question, I was 23 when I met him, and I was like, what changed in me that all of a sudden I might meet someone like Carl? Because I had never met anyone like him before. And it was like so good. It was like a dream come true. And now I look back and I think that we kind of planned meeting each other. And when we met each other, I just began to see and learn that we create our own reality. I had no idea. And he was on the same path already. So we have been on this path since we met on how can we change, how can we create the reality that we love? How can we change these thought patterns that we don't like, or these feelings that are uncomfortable? How can we clear those? How can we remember more of who we are and get in alignment with who we are so we can actually be who we are in this life? So really from day one, this has been our thing.
So you guys been aligned into the pathway of overcoming those limited beliefs, overcoming those that, what was the origin story of the mind flavor? How did you guys came together? How did you create it? Like, what was the inspiration? there's a better way on how to deal with this because you said that you were in a pathway. So you already been doing this. So what was the inspiration? There's a better way. There's something else here that we can do it. What was the origin story of the mind flavor? And tell us a little bit about what is this mind flavor technology.
Well, it was always, how can we do it faster? Because what we were doing, it was working, but it wasn't happening fast enough. And
So when I met Amy, I was already using a process that was very powerful, and it's doing a writing technique where we write exactly what we'd like to experience in a certain way and a certain time just before we go to sleep. And then it goes into the subconscious mind and reconfigures the structure of the beliefs that we have in our subconscious mind. I had been getting great results from this process, so much so that I was excited about everything in life. And then I moved to the Virgin Islands. Amy and I met, and then I moved to the Virgin Islands, and then she ended up moving to the Virgin Islands. And then after that, we moved to New York. And when we were in New York, we were, I love telling this part of the story. We were living in a loft, and with the writing process, what's nice about it is you can be very specific about what it is you're putting into your subconscious mind. The limits that I found from it was that it wasn't actually the limits of the process, it was the limits that were already programmed within my mind. So what I found is that even though I was getting these beautiful benefits from things that I was programming and experiencing, I was in the gem business at the time, and so I would program myself to make sales, and things would just line up and that would happen. However, there were all kinds of beliefs that were embedded in my subconscious that were limiting my elevation. And so when we got to New York, it kind of reached a peak in the fact that I was at a plateau. It became very clear that I was at a plateau. And even though I was getting those great results with the writing, I was looking for a faster way, something that I could do to get beyond those limits that I was experiencing. And then it came to me, well, just use the writing process to program yourself to increase your abilities to create exponentially. And so that's what I did. And soon after that, I was drawn to some different ideas like sacred geometry and color therapies and sound frequencies. And my creative mind decided that I was going to put something together that would make it easier for me to elevate my consciousness. And so I thought about this for a few months. And then one day I just got that motivation to sit down and start building something. And what I did is I put all of these things together, and I created this 4.5-minute video that actually elevates and changes consciousness in that short amount of time. So the part that I love about this story was when I was building this, when I was creating it, I wasn't conscious to the fact that it was already working on me. And so things started speeding up because everything that was stuck in a fixed position of consciousness suddenly became free. And so it was a different reality experience than what I was used to. And I remember we were in the loft, and
I was using the technology too.
I was showing her what I was doing, and so it was working on her too. And we weren't, like I said, we weren't conscious of that yet. And the moment of clarity that something was really happening was when we were doing something in the loft. I think we were straightening up, cleaning or something. And I was on one side and she was on the other side. And I remembered leaning to pick something up. and noticing that my headspace was just clear. Like I what how I what came to me was suddenly that I wasn't worried about anything.
Mm.
And then I thought, wow, this is really odd. I've never experienced this before. And I looked across the loft to Amy and I said, I just realized that I'm not able to worry about anything. And I said, are you?
And I tuned within, and I used to worry about everything. And at the time, we had a lot of things to worry about. And I tuned in and I could not access worry. It was so bizarre. And then
I said, come on, try to
he
worry
said,
about
try to
something.
worry.
And
And I couldn't
she's,
access it.
I
So
can't.
that was the moment we realized, wow, we have something here. This is actually doing something that nothing else has ever done. And we did everything. We took all the courses, we went to all the seminars, I studied all the healing modalities. And for me, even before this was 10 years ago around this time. And for a good number of years before that, I was doing clearing work. That's what I did. I worked with clients, and I was focused on the body, though. We're talking about this earlier, clearing that cellular memory from the body, so we can feel lighter in our body. And that gave me so much relief. That really helped me so much. However, what I still had that I could not clear was my mind was still driving me crazy. I still had those negative thoughts. I still had that mind chatter. I still had that DWF, and that's just an abbreviation for that doubt, worry, and fear that was really chronic in me. And so to have a moment of clarity where I couldn't even access worry, that was um, that was so good, because that time I was really at my lowest time at that. I say to everyone that Mindflavors saved my life. I'm not joking, because I had tried everything and nothing was. Um, and at the same time, I had this calling to do more in my life, this calling to speak and do these things, and I just had these blocks, these mental blocks, and Mindflavors set me free from that. And that was the beautiful awareness that we got in that moment.
What has been right after that awareness, what have been the biggest change after the no worrying, the big awareness, the realization, wow, this actually is working? That 10 years now, what has been the biggest change using this technology for years now, for decades, and teaching others how to use this technology? Like, what has been the biggest shift in your guys' life out of that journey?
Yeah, I'd love to answer that in just a moment. And first, I'd like to share this, because after that happened, I was like, is this just for us? Is this going to work for
Are we
others?
the only
Are
ones
we,
that are
yeah.
that could experience this?
Mm.
Yes.
So then through some friends, we got a group of beta testers together. And our friend actually said, I'm going to just do this for you guys. And so he got the individuals, and he sent them just the 4.5 minute video. We never even met them. And they were going to record, like we did with you today, what exactly how they felt after they watched it for the first time. And so I remember the day when we started getting these videos, and at first we are like a little bit nervous to even watch them. It's like, what are they going to say?
It's-
Or is
Mhm.
it working on them too? One after the next, they were saying the same thing, similar to you. It's like, uh, I mean, we still have that video today, but that's when we really got the certainty that this is something here, and we're meant to move forward with this and do something with this. And um, so then it took a few years to really bring what we're doing today together. And so 10 years ago, he created the technology. We had that beta test group. And 7 years ago, around this time, we opened the doors to our first 30-day transformation. And since
Mm.
then, we just have kept going. And so your question was, what has happened even more than clearing the doubt, worry, and fear? Uh, I mean, everything really.
Everything,
I mean, when we
everything
get
has
to ask this
changed.
question, it's like whatever the individual is asking for, they get, because it's changing consciousness. It's clearing out everything in the way of being who we are and having what we're asking for. Uh, but I feel like the most beautiful thing that it does is that it brings us back to who we are. It connects
Mm.
us with our divinity, who we truly are on the inside. And That's the most beautiful thing.
So in the
Yeah, yeah.
beginning, it's everyone pretty much experiences a similar thing, and that is they feel that freedom of no
Mm,
longer being tied down by
mhm,
their limiting conscious beliefs. And there's a sense of elation. And like what you said, it felt like kind of coming
Mhm.
home to ourselves,
mm,
because we suddenly get free from the patterns that were not really us to begin with. They were patterns that society had
Yeah.
kind of imposed on us through all of the different things that we've all been going through. And we pick up these beliefs little by little, and over time it gets heavier and heavier and
mm,
heavier. So
yes.
the first thing most individuals experience is that that elevation and freedom and clarity in their minds like never before. And
Mhm.
that's the thing that I've never seen anything else that accomplishes that
Mhm.
particular aspect.
Yeah, in such a short time. It's like in the beginning when I did the 4 minutes, I thought, okay, this is amazing, this is cool. I got that a nice lighted um feeling of lightness, but not any kind of feeling of lightness. It's like a physical, or lack of word, is a realist feeling of lightness. It's like kind of like my head was so heavy, and then that just went away. And the level of clarity that came out of that, and I don't feel that I became something new or different. I feel like I became something that I already was, something back home. That feeling of safety, that feeling of oneness. And the part that got me the most intrigued was after the invigorate, when I got like, okay, my mind is clear. I did the 4 minutes and it was amazing. But after the breathing, the invigorate, I literally felt how my body connected with my mind, how it was one. And I want you to tell us the difference in the I don't know if the word is necessity, the importance, I guess a better word, the importance of having that connection with your mind and the body. Because in my experience, when I work with people, or I've seen other people work with people, is that their mind gets reframed, they get shift, they get realization. So their mind go to a better place, but their body don't follow. It's like when the metaphor that when you get eye surgery, and they don't need glasses anymore, people still reach out to reach the glasses out of muscle memory, out of nature, out of I've been doing this forever. And their body hasn't integrated yet. Their body hasn't catch up yet with the changes their mind is making. So what has your experience been? And I asked you this also in when we chat earlier. What has been your experience with that importance of aligning the mind and the body?
Well, I kind of like to think of it like this. So you have the mind and you have the body. And when you watch the mind flavors, it stimulates the brain to create new neural pathways. And those new neural pathways now are not based on old programming, and it causes the old programming to start letting go. And so there's this immediate elevation that happens with the mind. But the body still has that cellular memory of the old patterns that are connected and still strongly fixed in position there. And so when there's that separation, so to speak, it's pulling and the body's holding here. And so that's when someone can experience what we call being triggered. Uh, this is what we experienced in the beginning. So without doing that breathing process to catch the body up with the mind, it can cause things to come up, and because everything that was fixed in position, suddenly it's no longer that way. And so the mind is moving forward, but if the body's not catching up, it can cause a little bit of a pull on that. And so what we found was uh, I remember when we were there in New York, and it felt like everything was speeding up really fast. We had that initial freedom from all those patterns. However, it felt like things were suddenly seeming very fast, and it was new and foreign. And we quickly could see that we had to clear how it was feeling in the body, that we were not, we didn't, at the time we didn't know about catching up with the mind. Today we do, and we do that immediately like we did with you. So we were experiencing that, and Amy was already really good with these breath techniques, and I'll be honest, I wasn't really using them. I wasn't doing them myself, but I could see very clearly at the time, wow, something I've got to do something here. And so she had this game that she played with some cards where uh, if you didn't pull a card that was of a positive nature, you had to do some breathing. And so we were doing that over and over and over for hours. We were doing breathing, and then wow, the elevation from that was it astonished us how good we were feeling from that. And that's kind of when we first came to that certainty that there are two components to this, and it's important that we are balancing the two together. And by balancing the two together, we can elevate to places that we didn't even think were possible before.
Yes.
So when one uses the mind flavors for the first time, they feel so good initially. However, if one would keep doing the mind flavors without doing the breath work, it would get very uncomfortable fast. See, because the
So
mind,
yeah, is that because the mind just gonna keep elevated, but the body is not, if they don't do the breathing with it?
Yes.
and not only that, the mind flavors technology has this way of bringing up, because, we've all gotten good at suppressing things.
Oh, yes.
And we've gotten so good at suppressing things so deep that perhaps we don't even feel that they're there, we don't notice them or anything like that. So that was really interesting in the beginning to see, especially when we started taking groups through this. Because in the beginning, it's like, feels so good. And the invigorate process, it's interesting how everyone loves to do the mind flavors, but some would have resistance to doing the invigorate. And we've really gotten to the place where it's so important you do your invigorate, because otherwise it's going to get really uncomfortable. But that is interesting, because really big change happens when we do that breath work. We clear those deep patterns, we clear that cellular memory. And the cool thing is that all of a sudden we look around and we see that the things that used to trigger us just don't trigger us anymore. We remain calm. And that's like the first sign that something, a pattern or someone in your life or something going on, normally triggering the individual. The first notice is like, oh, I'm not getting triggered by that anymore. And then the second thing that happens is it's not showing up in your life anymore, because the pattern's not there. And if the pattern's not there, we're not going to attract that into our life.
So what's nice about this, just to kind of wrap up on that concept, what's nice is that when we watch the mind flavors, it basically, things that were in that stuck position suddenly come to the surface, and through the breathing process, we quickly let that free. So just like what you experienced, you had a transformation happen right in a very short amount of time. And these are changes that sometimes might take years to accomplish, if someone's even able to accomplish the letting go of those patterns that are embedded into the subconscious. So it's a powerful way to get that stuff to get cleared. And then, like Amy says, once it's cleared, it's gone. And we're at a new level of consciousness. And when we're at a new level of consciousness, our point of attraction brings new experiences into our lives.
That actually inspired another question is, for other people, it takes years to get the type of transformation that you guys help people get with the mind flavor technology. And I would like to hear both of your answers to this. Is what would be what would you say to people who are skeptical about, like the mind flavor takes 4 minutes and a half. With the invigorate, it took what, 8 minutes total? Like, what would you say to people who are skeptical? I don't know if 8 minutes it was gonna be sufficient to actually solve anything. Like, how will be transformed in 8 minutes? Like, because there are people out there with a skeptical mind saying, I've been years in therapy. I've been years in coaching. I've been years doing these other healing modalities. Like you said, Amy, you've been through healing modality to healing modality until you land into something that it gives you the transformation in something like 4 to 8 minutes. Like, what will be your words to people who share that skeptical mind?
To experience it for yourself.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
why we offer that to individuals. They can meet with us and they can experience it for themselves. We offer that complimentary presently here because we get it. I'm not sure if I would have believed it either.
Yes.
It really is something that you have to experience for yourself. And it really is something for someone who is ready.
We had a woman who was, I think she was 80. She reached level 80, and
We
we
call
call
it
it levels.
instead of years, we call it levels.
So she was at level 80, and she watched it for the first time, and she just sat there quiet for a few minutes. And then she looked up in the camera, because we do it on Zoom. She looked up in the camera and she said, wow, 70 years of therapy in 4.5 minutes. She went through transformation, much like what you were expressing earlier. She had all these things come to her consciousness, to the level of consciousness that were buried patterns that were holding her back. So now I'd like to clarify too that it's not just all of a sudden it's gone and everything's done, and
That's good to
we
see.
we have many layers that we've literally thousands of things, of beliefs and constructs, I would say configurations in our consciousness that have been compressed together and pushed below our level of consciousness so that we don't have to deal with living in some of those, maybe they're unpleasant experiences that we had, or things that didn't work the way that we thought they were going to do. And so there is an ongoing up-leveling that happens by using the tools consistently.
Every day.
Why mind flavor? What inspires the name mind flavors?
Yeah, so
that's a good question.
Now, one thing that happened before we did the beta group, the first thing that I was close with one of my sisters, and that we were talking on a regular basis because she was working with me on my art career. And so I showed it to her, and she immediately started feeling the things that we were talking about and started telling us even more things that were opening up in her experience. And so then I showed it to another one of my friends in New York, and that's when I started thinking, well, this seems like something that others would like to benefit from too. And so I was kind of, another part of this is that I quickly saw that it's really important that we're focused on specific things while we're doing the technology. And so that's when I decided to put some words into this. It's kind of like a kaleidoscopic experience. So you're watching these cool visuals, and there are words that come up on the screen, and the words are there to guide your mind to focus on different topics. And so I was sitting there, Amy and I were sitting around talking, and I was saying, oh, well, if we put this together for others, we could have different topics that we could put together so that if someone's looking to elevate their finances, then they can watch one that's like that. And if someone was looking to get better relationships, then we could have that as a focus. And someone would like to make their health better, we could have that as a focus. And then I said, well, what's the flavor of your mind today? And then I went, oh, mind flavors. And that's how the name came to be.
Yeah. There is something about the words and having that focus. And what I love so much about the mind flavors is that it doesn't matter what topic you're watching, especially in the beginning, it does the same thing across the board, what we're saying.
Yeah.
More confidence, more clarity,
Mm-hmm.
more certainty,
Mm-hmm.
freedom, a lot of freedom.
Yes.
And just again, things began moving. We had just had someone new start with us, and she was feeling really stuck in some areas. She was, you know, she had this desire to make these videos talking about her work, and she wasn't doing that. And she was asking for some other things. And the first day, just after a couple days, she's doing these things. And that's so cool because so many of us, this used to be a big thing for me. I found it so wild about how I could have have something that I would really like to do. I could see myself doing it. It was a really good thing to do, and I wouldn't let myself do it. Like, so
Mm.
I had really had that pattern of holding myself back and not letting myself do the things that I would like to do. That can get really painful.
Yes.
And so when we get free of those patterns and we align more with who we are, we don't even think about it. We just naturally start taking this action that leads to the success that we would like to have in our life, that leads to the relationship that feels really good, that leads to making that video that we haven't been making. And
Mm.
that's really rewarding, that's fulfilling, that's fun, that's happy, that's really good. Yeah.
And
And
how,
then our vibration starts to rise up, right? Our vibration
yes.
rises up, and you're conscious of how that when we're in a higher frequency, then that's where all the good stuff is.
How many flavors you guys have?
Oh, I think we lost count.
I had a feeling that that was going to be the answer.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's another question, and that's how many levels of
Mm.
mindfulness
That's
there
yeah.
are. I've created 14 levels of mind flavors so far. So what you experienced today is actually what we call level 3, because we do have a couple of levels that are before that that I created afterwards just to have a smoother, easier thing for those who are super, super sensitive. Because we've
Mm.
had some empathic folks that
Mm-hmm.
have shared with us that it was strong for
Mm-hmm.
them. So we decided we'd like to have something where
It's more gentle.
they can work up to that
Mhm.
in their consciousness, and so that's why we created those. But so in total there's about 14 levels.
And what would be the difference between level from level? Like, what is the progression from level 3 to level 10?
Well, I'll just give you the one between what you experienced. So we have in our first um, program. First, in the first program, we have the one that you experienced, and so level 3. We have in the first segment is like 4 programs total, and so it gets stronger. The elements and things that I've put in there to create those effects are stronger, and then the next group of program that we go into is 11 times more powerful than what you experienced today. And then the one after that is 55 times more powerful. So it's a big jump. And what's really nice is that it's been very exciting and great to see that as we start to develop our minds and reconfigure our consciousness, we're able to handle those higher levels very comfortably. One of the things that our members tell us is, yes, it's very, very accelerated. It's very fast, but it's also gentle.
Mm. My understanding is that you guys have a program coming up in the Mindflayer program. We talked a little bit about that for our viewers today.
Yes. So in the beginning, we created a foundational program for those who've never experienced before, and everyone was there because it was new. And then we had, Carl just got so excited to create higher levels of technology. So we just kept creating programs to go with the higher levels. And we had a number of our members that had just kept coming along with us. And we would still have some come into the basic program, but about 5 years into it, maybe 6 years into it, we saw that we have changed so much that we could no longer, we decided that it was necessary to create a new program, right, Carl? Yeah. And we have been actually these last couple of years asking, well, what is the best program? Especially for this time that we're living in. Who is this program for, and what is the best program that we can create? And so these last couple of years, as we continued those higher levels with those members that just kept coming along with us, we were also at the same time creating this new program. And I feel like it's really our best program ever. And it's just a 30-day program that one can start. And it's called Super Elevate Your Success. And it's all about, we're really tuning into our divinity in this program. That's really our focus, that's really what we're valuing most, is our divinity and coming back to who we truly are. And so what would you like to say about it?
So after experiencing these high levels of the technology that I had created, it became very clear I got some profound inspiration that everything had to be shifted more into, instead of the 3D focus of the physical plane, that it was important to focus on our divine essence, who we are, and being connected with our divinity. We still have topics that affect our financial experience, affect our relationships, all these different things. But what's underneath it, and what's really in the DNA of it, I'll say now, is the focus on our connection with our divine selves, the divine nature that we have within us. So all areas of life can be affected in a positive way, and we're doing it from a new point, a new position, a new focus, with the priority being that connection to who we are inside. And I think has a lot to do with why just about everyone, when they first experience it, they say that it feels like they're coming home.
And that value of, so you both mentioned this value for divinity, for coming back to your divinity, to coming back to who you are. Was that value always being there present when you first founded and created the Mindflavor technology, or was that something that you came into as you do a Mindflavor and you wanted to share that more with the world? Like, was it there always, that value?
Yes, I like your question, because it was there, but it wasn't my primary focus. So in the beginning, I was focused on, we thought, well, we'd like to work with entrepreneurs, because they're change makers and they're doing a lot of good things in the world. And so we thought, well, what are some of the things that entrepreneurs like and require in order for themselves to become successful? So we focused on the sales and financial aspects, and we were getting members that were getting checks out of the blue. Even Zenka, who we're both familiar with, within the first, what was it, 5 days, she got a check for $25,000 that was totally unexpected.
So this is after our new program that we've created. So we're still getting the same results. So in the very beginning, we had what was the program called?
It's called Lucrative
Sales Success. And but they're still getting those same good results on their business and their finances. I think it's just all become more refined, more pure, more focused.
So,
and the energy has changed in it. It's up leveled quite a lot, because we're so different than when we started.
So as an example, someone can focus on money, or someone can focus on prosperity.
Divine prosperity.
And what we did is have taken it to divine prosperity. So we're connecting with our divine self. We're still experiencing the prosperity that is coming through. We've just elevated the focus. And a lot of that has to do with the words that I put into the mind flavors. So everything now has shifted to divine prosperity, divine good fortune, and things like that. And that's where it's kind of changed, kind of like the DNA of the structuring of the words, because the words do give clarity on what type of configuration is going into our consciousness.
Yes. Oh, yes, and there's also studies actually in language. I'm a neurolinguistic by training and all that. So the language we use really do affect the neurology, how your neural pathways encode and use. So yeah, the language, the word is very important. That is why you will always find me say, for lack of a better word, because I always will lack a better word to say something. And I like I like the divine ones. I'm gonna start using it more now on. So is there anything else you want to say for the viewers today? Is there something you want them to, if there's one thing you will want them to know out of everything that you've spoken today, what would that be? What would that be, that message that you want them to go to sleep tonight and remember?
That anything that you would like, you can achieve it. You can experience it. And the quickest way that I've found, that we've found, is to work with the fullness of our being. And then when I say that, I'm talking about our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, and get it so that they are working together. We like to refer to our subconscious mind as our team. So we get the team on board, and then we don't have to effort things. Nothing should be difficult. Everything should be easy. And that's our divine nature. So when we clear away all the different things that are holding those old positions in place, then we can experience that.
Beautiful. And I would say to remember that you're not who you think you are. You're so much more than what you think. And that's what I love so much about our tools, is that our tools, we all have been so programmed to be in our mind thinking so much and to be out of our body. And when we use tools like this and we come back into our body and we connect with who we are, it's a whole new reality just by coming into our body. And I would say begin to see how you can do that, how you can come back into your body. And instead of thinking so much, begin listening to your inner being, listening to your heart. The most valuable thing that each one of us can do is learn to hear that voice on the inside, our inner guidance guiding us, because it's always going to guide us to the perfect place for us, to everything that we're asking for. And then I would say, if you feel inspired by this conversation and you would like to experience this technology for yourself, then follow that guidance too. And we'd love to meet with you and have you experience it for yourself.
Absolutely. I highly, highly suggest it. In fact, everybody watching this, you all are meant to go to the Mind Flavor technology today. And the website is mindflavors.com with an S at the end. And right there, you for those of you watching, you can sign up to experience the Mind Flavor technology. It, like Amy said, like try it for yourself. Test it.
Yeah, yes. And for that, you can go to mindflavors.com/experience. And that's the page.
Beautiful. So thank you all. Thank you for
One of
being
our
here.
favorite things, just
Yes.
finish this.
Mm,
My favorite thing is to do what we did today.
that's our favorite
It's
thing.
our favorite thing is to watch somebody experience it for the first time and just get that freedom
Yeah,
in their mind and in their body, and see that anything is possible.
anything is
Yes.
possible.
I really was how you call this in English? Mind blown by the things I was able to see, because like they say, you cannot see the labels inside the jar. Like I was so inside the jar for 4 months in my relationship. It was like, this relationship is just not for me. But inside the jar, I knew like this is not true, that is not true. And the mind flavor, those 8 minutes helped me get out of that jar and was able to actually see things as they were and not as those labels, those patterns, those lenses. I was looking at the relationship through, and that was the biggest blessing for me. And I can't wait to be able to talk with my soulmate, my girlfriend, and tell her about this and tell her about their realization and actually apologize as well, because I wasn't being my best self. I wasn't being my highest self. I wasn't attuned with my divinity and being in a relationship and divinity. So I you have no idea how excited I am to sit down with her and talk about it. So thank you.
That's
Oh,
beautiful.
you're so welcome. I really appreciate you sharing that. That's so happy. And
Yes.
that's another thing that we hear when one experiences the first time, they'll say something like, wow, I'm thinking about who I can be from this place.
Yeah.
You see? And that's so good.
Once again, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for being here, but also thank you for the session today. Thank you for helping me just see a different possible reality where in a moment that I actually was thinking, this is it. So you have no idea, it came to the right moment at the right time. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
And thank you for having us on your show. We so
Yes,
appreciate so much
appreciate
love.
that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you all for watching this. For those of you who are in the LightNet community, we will be having the archive of this replay for you to watch it and share it with your friends and loved ones. So thank you all, and I'll see you soon.